Okay, welcome to the Lenox Selectboard meeting, Wednesday, October 12th. It's now 6 o'clock. We'll get started. I don't have any announcements from the chair. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of September 28th.
So, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we accept the minutes of September 28th.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we'll open up immediately with Citizens Open Forum. Who wants to go first? Remember now, it's three.
Okay.
Oh. Are you here as a citizen or a planning board?
Oh, citizen.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Fix it fair.
No, I'm not in the room on planning board right at the moment. All right. I'm Kate McNulty Vaughn. I live at 10 Post Road in Lenox, and Ellen Jacobson and I have been doing something called the Fix-It Fair. Maybe we're in our 5th or 6th year. I've lost track a little bit, but we have one coming up this month. We have our fall one. It is going to be at the community center, not the town hall, this year because of early voting. So we're at the community center Saturday, October 29th from 1 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And we have a great group of volunteers. All kinds of people have made themselves available to us for electrical and mechanical fixes and sewing and, taking care of those moth holes in wool sweaters and things like that. So what Ellen and I recommend, our numbers are on almost everything that we put out to the public. It is helpful to us if you give us a call ahead of time and tell us what your item is and what the problem is, and then we can make sure we line you up with a fixer. Or at least let you know, no, we don't do gas-powered anything, or something like that. So if you let us know, that's very helpful. Not mandatory, so please show up on that day. If you have something that you need fixed, bring it in with you, and we'll try to line you up with someone on that afternoon. It's free help. We do accept donations, and on occasion we have asked people if they would help donate towards the cost of a part. That only came up in the last fair that we did. So let's see. And we can always use more volunteers. So please consider, at least if you haven't seen this before, come by in the afternoon, poke your head in, take a look at what we do, and then run home and grab your thing that needs to be fixed. Everybody has something that they've put aside, they're going to get to it, and, anyway, I'll let it go at that.
What were the dates and times again?
Okay, Saturday, October 29th, at the community center, and I will give you a sandwich board request anytime soon. And it's going to be from 1 to 4 in the afternoon in what they call the lunchroom. When you come in the front door, go off to the right. So 1 to 4, October 29th, Fix-It Fair. And thank you, actually, to all the volunteers and the people who brought things to us in the past. It's usually a lot of fun. It's kind of an interesting challenge to see what shows up.
Thank you, Kate. Your colleagues, okay? It's become something that people look forward to. So
They do.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, thanks very much.
Okay, I was going to say, I think it's been
I'm trying not to. Let's just not add years up.
well, no, I mean, in a good way. I mean,
It
it's
might,
been-
yeah, I'm thinking maybe 2017, but, it could have been 2016. Thank you.
Well, thank Ellen, too.
Absolutely. She was the one who told me 20 minutes ago that you were meeting tonight at 6.
Oh, okay. Her commute would have been a little less.
True.
Okay, next. Citizens Open Forum. Go ahead, Sonia.
Sonia Bajkowski, 225 Main Street, Lenox. So, as you remember, I came last week, talked to you about some communication issues that I was concerned about. I wrote a letter the next day to you all. I don't know if you've seen it. Was this shared with you? The letter I wrote after your last meeting 2 weeks ago. Okay, blank stares. I'll read it, or at least I'll paraphrase it. So the meeting minutes, I received meeting minutes. One of my issues was receiving meeting minutes that aren't identified as far as date goes. And the morning after your last meeting, I received meeting minutes that were actually from the meeting 3 weeks before. And having received them the day after your meeting, I think we can all agree meeting minutes that arrive after your next meeting aren't real helpful if you're trying to participate in the process. So I trying to not read this whole thing. There have also been some issues with, I did not bring this up last time, so I'll bring it up this time. Are you all aware we're not using Zoom anymore as a town? That Zoom is not a platform the town's using anymore. So myself and others went to get on a planning board meeting, I think mid-September, and suddenly Zoom was gone. And now there's something, I think it's Google Teams or Microsoft Teams. It's a whole new app. And I was ill-prepared, as were others, to get on this app and to use it because we have no experience with it. So I guess one of the things I'm wondering is, why are we changing from Zoom? We have a really more so elderly population that have learned how to use it over the last 2 years because of the pandemic. And I think we all kind of had it, and now there's been a change. I don't know why. I don't know if you guys know why, but it just seems like it is not helpful to change from something that we're all familiar with and able to use. So I guess one question is, why did we do that? And another question is, do we have to do that? Can we stick with the familiar Zoom? And if not, Ms. Miller said there might be a training around this when we first were trying to get on it. And by the way, the first meeting, I got kicked off of it after I got on it, and I came into town hall for that meeting. So I have not seen a training, but it does seem like this has been adopted for all the meetings now. So if there can be a training around that, that would be helpful. And again, I'm just very concerned about the ongoing communication issues. And like the, I'm sorry, losing my train. The draft of the proposed special town meeting articles that you all have been talking about. I also requested in this letter a copy of those 13 days ago. Thank you for giving me one when I arrived, but I'm sure people would appreciate seeing an itemized list of that, and actually open meeting law does specify that topics shall have sufficient specificity to reasonably advise the public of the issues to be discussed at the meeting. So basically, I had also requested in this letter that your proposed bylaw discussion be itemized so that people know what you're talking about. We're talking about having another special town meeting in, 5 weeks, and I don't think most people are aware of it yet. So listing that on your agenda would give them an opportunity to come and listen to the discussion so they're not, am I cut off? Is that what that is? Okay. And the last thing is, I had brought up the idea of codifying 2 town meetings because 5% of the population are needed for a town meeting as opposed to a special town meeting, which is only 1%. And I think bylaw changes should be made by a little bigger of the population if possible. And I did not see anything saying it is not possible to add codifying 2 annual town meetings on this warrant for this meeting. So I'm going to request again that be added. And if someone cared to just guide me as to the language, I'm happy to pick up the ball and do the work on that. Thank you.
We'll request and send it to us. I'd appreciate it.
Sure.
Yes, anybody else? Okay. So then, boy, I was generous. Okay. So let's move on to the consent agenda.
Excuse me, Mr. Lord.
Oh, okay, did you want to talk?
Another person was supposed to have spoken tonight, but she isn't.
You've got to stand up and talk to the mic.
Sure.
That's for the people at home, not for me. I can't hear anyway.
Can you hear me?
No, that's for home.
No, it's for home. Absolutely. My name is Diane Sheldon. I live at 32 Old Stockbridge Road in Lenox. And another woman was supposed to be here tonight to speak about our concerns regarding the very little time that's available between completing the new bylaws, and then the amount of time that would be left for an actual meeting for townspeople to be apprised of how this would affect them. Right now, they were telling us at the planning board meeting that it would probably be just 2 days before. That's really not adequate time, especially asking people to come out 2 nights in a row with 1 night in between for meetings, many of whom may be seniors and housebound. We would really like to request that this vote be postponed to the spring meeting so that people have time. These are complex issues, trying to understand setbacks and heights and all of the other terms and expressions, small cells. You folks know this is very complicated information. Most people don't really know what this stuff is. And in order for them to make an informed vote, they do need to understand the technicalities of what's happening. There just isn't enough time. And I think in order to, you are representing our townspeople, and I know that you want them to have a chance to get proper information. This will not allow for that. I know how much you'd like this to be voted on this year, Chris. Everybody's saying they want to please you and get this done. I understand they've been working for 2 years, and I appreciate that. But all of a sudden, this sudden urge to have it done and voted on by November 17th is really not allowing for due diligence and time for the townspeople to understand the depth of these issues. So I'm asking you, please, to consider postponing this election until the spring meeting in May. Thank you.
Yes. Move on. What?
I don't have anything.
No, the consent agenda.
I thought you wanted me to respond.
No.
Okay,
We'll do that
consent
later.
agenda. We have 2 items on the consent agenda. A 1-day all alcoholic license request. Edith Warden Restoration is seeking 10 one-day all alcohol license to use during their Nightwood events. The hours will be 5 to 8 p.m. on the following dates: 11/22, 11/19, 11/25, 11/26, 12/3, 12/10, and 12/17, 12/23, 12/30, and 12/31. And a certified bartender will be present. Next, we have a donation acceptance from the Police Department. Police Chief Steve O'Brien is seeking your approval to accept a monetary donation.
Thank you. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we're going on to general business now, and I'm going to ask Chris to talk a little bit about the DPW contract.
Well, so we have nothing for the DPW contract tonight.
Okay.
We'll try to have that ready for your next meeting.
Okay.
Purchase and sale agreement on the mount. So recall that at the 2021 annual town meeting voted to, overwhelmingly, to have you execute a purchase and sale agreement with Edith Wharton Restorations, Inc., otherwise known as the Mount, and the town of Lee, which obtained a similar authorization from their town meeting, or directive from their town meeting. So now the town of Lee, at their select board meeting last week, approved a purchase and sale agreement, which I have a copy of here tonight. So Lenox is now prepared to be the last signatory or authorizer of a purchase and sale for the 1.38 acres of land that has the house on it on Laurel Lake Road. The house itself is located within the town of Lee. There's a small portion of the parcel that is in Lenox. However, the two towns, is one of these very few of these arrangements that still remain, own it jointly. And it's been proposed and then directed subsequently by town meeting to sell that land to the Mount. Because it falls under a special arrangement in state law known as Article 97, required an act of the legislature, a 2/3 vote roll call of both legislative bodies which occurred back in August. The council from the two towns then set about completing a purchase and sale agreement, which we now have. Lee's approved it, Lenox approves it, and then hopefully we'll be able to move towards a close.
Gentlemen, any questions?
No,
No?
we've been years trying to get this
I
done.
participated in quite a few of the meetings over there at the Mount.
I'm
just trying to
delighted
get
it's still standing.
this underway, and that was the concern.
Yeah,
for the building.
certainly was my concern. This is a great opportunity for us to incorporate more of the heritage of the county into the Mount, which has certainly been a great asset to the community, so I really don't have anything to add to that. Warren, you good?
No.
Okay. So what would you like us to do? We need to take a
We
vote
need
on it?
a motion on it.
Okay,
So I'll move to approve the purchase and sale agreement as prepared by town council for 1.39 acres, more or less, located at Laurel Lake Crossroad in Lee and Lenox, as authorized under Article 17 of the warrant for the 2021 annual town meeting.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Well, good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chris, you have that, and you'll signatures from?
Yes, sir.
Us.
All right, and then next, we have authorization for the chair to sign a purchase and sale agreement for parcel off of East Dugway Road that's going to be a subject of an article at the special town meeting coming up in November. Recall that application was made to the Community Preservation Committee for the town to purchase land that's about 40 acres behind the crest of the hill, known as the backside of the Brushwood property. Technical address is 0 East Dugway Road, but it's sort of an unfortunate official address. But we're talking about the land that sets back. It's off of 7 and 20 up over the crest of the hill. So 40 acres of open space land. Community Preservation Committee approved that application, $360,000 purchase that will be the subject of an article at annual town meeting. However, as with all real estate transactions, it's a requirement of the Board of Selectmen to act as the official approver for purchase and sale agreements. So the official business before you tonight is authorize the chair to sign a purchase and sale agreement that's in line with the wishes of town meeting, if they're so inclined in about a month, and the authorization for expenditure of funds out of the open space and general funds of the Community Preservation Act.
Well, thank you. I'll speak for everybody, I think, when I say that one of our priorities has always been open space here. And we've always looked very favorably on preserving land. I think that's a measure of the greatness of the town of Lenox. We have so much, and we continue to acquire pieces, and I think that's really a good venture, a good thing to get into. Ed? Neil?
Yeah, just the only little thing I'd like to add to that is, want to purchase and protect open land as much as we can, but this fits into a bigger plan for our open space needs, connectivity between a lot of different areas.
Right.
So this is, to me, it's very important we do it.
Neil?
I agree. I was going to say the same thing, Ed. CPC spent a considerable amount of time considering this application, even though it falls directly in their sites. Their purview is one of the best uses of CPC funds. And to your point, it is very much the location of the land. First of all, it's beautiful. I've been up there. And
it's nice.
The trails up there. There's lots of wildlife. It has the potential to be a possible link to increase the walking from Kennedy Park. There's a light there, so you can cross up behind where the proposed housing development will be and connect that land on all the way back to Dugway, and, you know, the sky's the limit, so to speak, in terms of how far Dugway we might go someday in terms of
Exactly.
walking trails and whatnot. So the CPC is very in favor of it, as you know, and is planning on putting that motion for, you know, town meeting to accept. But, oh, and I should say that the purchase and sale that was negotiated for this property is written in such a way that we're protected, you know, in the event that for, you know, for whatever reason, town doesn't think this is a good idea.
Right.
So you executing it is a necessary step to get it done, but we're not locked into something if it's not the will of the town to.
Right, exactly. I apologize for not having you speak first since you're our representative on the CPC.
Oh, that's right.
No, you.
We all talked about this.
I know.
It's a good idea.
Thank you for your participation there, keeping us informed. Warren?
I would agree with both Ed and Neil about the importance of this. We should go ahead.
You want to agree with me?
And you.
Okay. Thank you, Warren.
So, make a motion?
Yes, please.
So I move to approve the purchase and sale agreement as prepared by town council for 40.41 acres, more or less, located East Dugway Road in Lenox, subject to the approval of a town meeting appropriation from the Community Preservation Act funds to fund the purchase price of $360,000, and further, to authorize the chair to sign on behalf of the board.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So if I sign this thing and it falls through, you guys are going to chip in, right, for the 360?
You're a co-signer right here.
All right.
I had some change in my pocket somewhere.
Okay, so Chris, you want to talk a little bit about the special town meeting?
Sure, so I've prepared a table for you that's a little bit better than the chicken scratch that we went over, I think, in our last meeting a few weeks back. The articles that we've discussed up to this point for inclusion in the warrant are listed 1 through 9. You know, with any additions, you know, being subject to further action from various boards and committees within the town. So
Do you mind reading those for us?
of course, we will go through. We'll go through point by point for sure. I guess I'll just start at the top. So with Article 1 would be the usual kickoff article. It's the waiving of the reading of the warrant and authorization for the moderator to declare a 2/3 vote. Article 2 is the borrowing authorization for the wastewater treatment plant. This would be sponsored by the Permanent Building Committee. This is a federally mandated performance standard that we have to meet. Our current plant is well beyond its useful life and needs to be upgraded to performance standard. We've been waiting to do that upgrade, so we knew what the NIPD's permit was going to require, so we can design and build a plant that will meet it. We now have the NIPD's permit in hand, so we've done a lot of the design work for the processes that we'll use to make our effluent compliant. Now it's a matter of getting authorization from town meeting, and then following on that, some form of federal grant to support the taxpayers' contribution, and then construct the plant. So that would be the subject of Article 2. Article 3 was sorry.
Do you want to discuss as we go, or do you want to get through your table?
It's up to you. If you want to
Yeah,
discuss it,
I mean, we can-
fine. If not, we're going to have a meeting hopefully shortly to discuss the warrant
In more detail?
in more detail.
Okay, then I won't chip in any
Yeah.
comments from the peanut.
Yeah, and we've got, we're still obviously awaiting, the final word from the PVC on that.
I'll back up on that. If you have something you want to add, then maybe we should take a look at it in the warrant. Please go right ahead.
Well, speaking with my permanent building committee hat on,
Yeah, right.
I'll tell you that you touched on a couple points that people might be curious about. So there is grant money that is specifically designed to support projects like this for towns. It might seem like this is the cart before the horse, but we have to authorize as a town the expenditures for the construction of this in totality before the grant bodies will entertain looking at a grant application. You'd normally think, why don't we go out and find out how much public money is there to support us first, but they won't entertain that application until we as a town have said, we're behind this and we're prepared to spend the money. So that's one thing I wanted to clarify. And the other thing I thought would be relevant is that, you know, you're going to talk about number 3 next, obviously, but on the articles that will be coming from the Permanent Building Committee, I would say that we're furthest along on this particular project in terms of being able to get us collectively, you know, that cost estimate in time for, you know, posting in advance of meeting.
We should have that by the 3rd week in October. That's
Right.
That's what
Yep.
we tasked the engineers to do,
Yep.
so.
So I'm correct in saying, I think, that the federal mandates us to build the sewer plant regardless of whether we get any additional funding. We're being mandated to upgrade our sewer plant.
That is correct.
That's right.
And if we're lucky enough to get some additional money, that's great, but we've got to do it. Either the town has to fund it or a combination of town and grants.
Yes, so there are new rules in place for effluent from wastewater treatment
Yes.
facilities.
We got the number.
And our plant is not capable, because it lacks the technology to meet those numbers. So statewide, countrywide really, but statewide, the DEP has been issuing revised permits basically along the same timeline as when your permit expires. Here's your new permit, and this new permit includes these new effluent specifications that are stricter than what we can do. So we as a town have been waiting until it was our turn with the DEP. We didn't want to do this project in advance. We wanted to see what are they going to tell us that we have to do.
Right.
We've gotten that, so now our plant is technically out of compliance, but you know, they're not going to fine us right away if we make an effort to upgrade our plant.
I've been a selectman for almost 13 years, and that was on the agenda when I first came in, but we never got the number.
Right.
So, I mean, probably would have been better if we did get it 13 years ago.
Yeah, it would
Well,
cost a lot.
construction costs and other things, but, you know, it's a, yes. However, the technology was emergent at that point, so the technology to meet the new regulations was probably more expensive than it is today. But to your point about that, there are other towns in Berkshire County that tried to basically say no to the DEP and not comply.
Right.
And the fines were substantial, and they ended up
Right.
building.
They make it worth your while to build it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neil. Ed, thank you.
Okay. So then the next Article 3 in this scenario would be a borrowing authorization for the public safety building, which would be a 2/3 vote, and incorporated within that article would be a reimbursement to the community housing sleeve, bucket, whatever you want to call it, of the Community Preservation Fund for the costs of the land at Sawmill Brook. It's across.
So do it all in one article.
Yeah. It could be accomplished in 2 motions, perhaps, under one article. That's something that we can refine as we move along in our discussions in the process. But yeah, I mean, we need to accomplish both things at this town meeting. Whether we do it 1 article, 2 motions, 2 articles, 1 article, 1 motion. I mean, it's not so meaningful to me, but they both have to get done.
It has to be done.
Yeah.
So I just want to say to everybody that Chris and I talked earlier, we're going to have a business meeting, which will be published sometime between now and a week or so, a couple of weeks, but when we actually get the warrant in and we can sit down and we're gonna have more detailed discussions about it. So keep your eye on the website and we'll certainly post it.
All right. So,
Yep.
do we want to talk about this, or do we want to keep going?
I think we can keep on moving.
So, Article 4 is this would be a town bylaw amendment. I wish I had used different language, but frankly, I didn't know what else to say. On the table, it says a puppy mill. But this is in response to a citizen's petition from a previous town meeting that would have sought to ban puppy mills, and I think, generally speaking, that concept was very well received by the public. However, the option that was placed before town meeting at the time was not operable, at least as far as how it integrated, or perhaps more aptly, did not integrate with our bylaws. So this is going to be staff's good faith attempt to develop, along with town council, a bylaw that would accomplish all the goals of that petition in a way that actually conforms to our how we do business.
Okay, just make one point on that. We're not gonna put anybody out of business. There are none in Lenox at this point.
I think the
Right.
intent is to keep it down.
Right. It's like saying we're not gonna do something, so we're not going to entertain a business of this nature. We're not gonna issue a license for a business of this nature.
I think that's precisely why we kicked it from the meeting where it was raised to now, is that
Right.
the language put before us was from another town and hard to adopt, so.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
We said-
actually mentioned other cities' names
Right.
by name, right?
So I don't think anybody had a philosophical opposition to the concept, it just wasn't, we didn't have anything that we could work with, so.
Right. Okay.
So then we got a couple of placeholder articles pending additional work. One, first would be a town bylaw amendment for, this is basically a prohibition on construction noise in residential neighborhoods and refuse collection between the hours of 7. The draft that staff are currently working on would prohibit anything before 7. There's some nuance that has to be worked out with that, which is why we're still working on it. It's also why it's merely a placeholder at this point. We anticipate other articles coming forward if we can get this one prepared in time in a way that we think that the town will be amenable to, and will address a lot of the concerns that have been expressed to either myself or the police chief or other town staff. If we can be responsive to that, we will be.
Who's preparing that?
I've prepared something that
It's not a zoning.
got a fair, very professional critique from my staff, so which I appreciate. And town council had a few things for good measure. So when it's in better shape, I will absolutely include it, either now or later. Article 6 then, unless there are any other questions there. Okay. Article 6. So this is again a placeholder for in this case a zoning bylaw amendment related to cell towers and antennas. This is an article that the planning board is currently working on. Should they complete their work in a way that results in a proposal coming from that body, Article 6 would be where it would be included in this draft. Okay. All right. Any questions on that? All right. Article 7 would be an appropriation for 2023 paving. So we learned some time ago that it was more advantageous for us to authorize the expenditure of funds in the winter and bid projects in the winter for paving season, allowing us to get ahead of the schedule for a lot of contractors. The first year we did this, we went from receiving 4 bids in the we'll call it the warmer months after Chapter 90 has been authorized by the state and town meeting in the spring was over. We went from a 4-bid environment to a 9-bid environment, which was far more competitive and better serving the taxpayers. So Article 7 in this instance would be perpetuating that tradition that we've tried to develop of bidding paving projects in the spring or in the fall for spring work, spring or summer. Number 8 is the East Dugway Road CPA open space article that we described earlier in the agenda. That was the purchase and sale that the Select Board Chair is now authorized to sign, subject to town meeting approval. Article 8 would be where town meeting would give its approval or not. And then Article 9 is a similar CPA-sponsored article. This is Mass Audubon CPA funds for a grant to Mass Audubon for construction of the All Persons Trail and boardwalk work, subsequent to the unfortunate microburst event that they experienced. Are we calling that years ago now? Time flies. Yeah, a long time ago.
Well, this is also, so CPA did, the CPC, I should say, met off-cycle technically, because we had 2 applications that seemed very warranted to discuss. So, God, help me out, Chris, was it June-ish?
I'm struggling in the same way. Yeah.
May, June or so, I believe is when we accepted the 2 applications, and we, as a body, met to decide whether we entertain off-cycle applications, agreed that we would because of the nature of them, and did the same thing. We, over a course of several meetings, vetted the Audubon's proposal. As you said, it's for not only repair from some very substantial damage from that storm a year and a half or 2 years ago or whatever it is, but we'll improve the trails and the boardwalk as well for the All Persons Trail. And CPC was unanimous in supporting it, and so they're asking us to put it on the town warrant to see if we'll spend the money.
Okay. So here's where we would do that. And that is all I have right now, unless there's an inclination from a board member to add another topic or get staff to work on another topic.
I think not. No, I don't think so. We got a full plate.
I think, it's not a ton of articles, but, we're dependent on CPA for 2 in preparation of theirs. That should be relatively simple. Your paving article is probably something that you can do pretty easy. The planning board has a lot of hard work to do. You have a lot of hard work to do on the hours restrictions, the puppy mill. The PVC has to be ready for the 2 borrowing. So there's a lot of work for a lot of people to do, but they have been working on these things for quite some time. So.
Yeah, I'd certainly add to that the sewer plant and the public safety building are no surprises. We've been forecasting this for years. We've made provisions for borrowing money already. Thanks to our town manager, we have a AAA bond rating, which is enable us to borrow money at advantageous rates. We've already got that, so this shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody, especially these 2 articles, because they're the ones that are involving maybe $50 million or more. So those are huge articles for the town. The town's in good shape. We have a plan, and thanks to our town manager and my colleagues, we're going to move forward with that plan. And I want to thank you. Before we get into our liaisons, This gentleman came in a little late. Did you want to say something, or were you here to just listen?
Hi, my name is David Wills. I've been here for about 3 years. Turner Terrace. And, no, it's actually, I thought it's nice I can make it up the hill this year, so, thanks. I need another one of these. I swear I got 300 miles on it, and 2/3 being hills, right? Anyway, it's nice to meet everybody, and thank you for saying something.
Okay, very good. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it.
So with that, I'll ask my colleagues if they have anything they'd like to further discuss. Okay, we are not going to have an executive session meeting tonight. We're going to put that off for a little bit. We still got a little work to do. So with your indulgence, we'll get it to you as soon as we can. And we good? Okay. Our next regular scheduled meeting will be Wednesday, October 26th at 6 p.m. right here. Thank you all.
Okay, with that, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second that.
And I will ask everybody, all in favor?
Favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Good enough. Thank you all.